The LEC is back with a new format, which was a great success, as were the new rosters for Mad Lions, SK, and G2. But on the other hand, things couldn't have gone worse for Fnatic and XL, while Vitality had another disappointing finish outside of top 4. That was the Winter Split. Now we're going into the Spring Split, a little bit confusing for everyone. But what changes have teams made, and how is that going to affect the standings in Spring Split? Because right after Spring Split, we've got MSI, and everyone has their eye on the second spot. First one was taken by G2. We're going to talk about that today. Welcome back to The Gold Advantage. I'm your host, Nikita, and with me is Big Money Blips. How are you doing? It's been a little bit of a break. I love the new season. It did feel short, new format, but action-packed, lots of storylines, really interesting. And now I'm actually, in some ways, the shorter season means we get back into League even faster, which is a great thing.
And it's cool, right? The temperatures are starting to heat up. The Rift is going to be heating up. We are in spring, baby, and I am pumped. You know, to that point, I don't always like a lot of the changes that go on in the league. I love this change. I like that we were at best of ones, best of threes, best of fives, and now we get another taste of best of ones again. It's kind of fun. It's like, I mean, from a betting perspective, you kind of have to reset your calculus. This is no longer the, you know, who's going to win a series, a best of 3 or 5. And it's a good time to kind of test out for some of the lower end teams. You're going to be looking to find some level of chemistry. Hopefully they've been training while the other teams have been really playing. I know we're about to get into some roster changes, but look, this is fantastic. I'm excited. I can't, I mean, when G2 wins the second place at MSI, will they be allowed to kind of play in multiple chances? Like, I don't see how anyone's beating G2, but, you know, that's why they have to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is definitely chasing G2, who was, like, far and above better than everyone else in the league.
Correct.
I think the playoffs really cemented that. So, changes, you mentioned them. I think we kick it off with 10th place team, XL. Interestingly, very few changes. They've changed their coaching staff, so I guess that's the biggest thing. Young Buck's out, his assistant coach is out. They've been interviewing a few different ones, a couple of people from NLC, a few other ones. No one is officially confirmed as of yet. The other rumored change is that Targamas is out and Limit is in. I'm to be honest, I'm quite lukewarm on this because I just don't think it's a big enough change. I think XL as a roster individually was very talented. I don't look at Targamas as being the issue. He's one of the rookies. I mean, he has had a year and a bit maybe of experience, but he's still one of the younger players. He is a quiet player. I think they had a big problem with who is the carry, what was the chemistry like, and what was the identity. Are they playing through bot lane? Are they playing through top lane? And so on. I don't feel like that has really been addressed. I'm not sure bringing Limit, who was on BDS when BDS wasn't good.
I was going to say, he's been around the league for a while. Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say the exact same thing. You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And in this case, everything is so broken that there's also no hope fixing it. And so, look, I do think bringing in a new coach helps, but it only helps if you keep your young roster. Right? Like, you want to keep the young guys who can really kind of learn from somebody. So I hate the idea of getting rid of Targamas. You know, I think that they've got a whole bunch of things. I think starting with Odo Omne, right? Odo Omne is meant to be this leader and kind of champion for them from the top lane. And it hasn't worked across the board.
I wonder, though, if it's a contract thing. And you know, I don't know if Odo Amne has ever been like this major leader, but I think he's tied into a stronger contract. And I would keep him because, again, it's hard. I don't think necessarily the issue, but when you are having problems carrying, I think you need to look at mid lane priority, you need to look at AD carry, and you need to look at jungle. We know Vitheo can do really well. So is it Xerxes? Is he supporting the mid lane and the top lane correctly? Is it the bot lane? Maybe they want to bring Limit in because he's a bigger voice. We'll have to see what happens. The good thing about coming in 10th, the only way is up, you know? So we'll have to see how things go.
I mean, don't they still have Abidaga that they can bring in?
Yeah, potentially. So that's another one. We'll have to see. I don't know. It's a funny one. I don't feel like they came in 10th place and you would have thought they'd blow everything up and would really rejig. To acknowledge one of the issues, though, is with the new format, no other league is over, and so it's very hard to find other players at this point in time.
I know.
Maybe they're saying, okay, scrap it, we'll keep it till MSI, we're not going to make it to MSI, but we're going to rebuild in preparation for Worlds or something like that. Maybe they genuinely do believe that actually, hey, the player talent is there, we need a bit better coaching or different coaching to match the players and so on. We'll have to see what happens, but like I said, 10th place, you can only do better from that, so that's, that's what you can take away.
I still stand by our podcast. What was it, 3 weeks ago or something, when we started talking about player swapping with internally? Like,
oh yeah,
I still would have loved to see Razork go to XL and Xerxes go to Fnatic.
Yeah, I think that could have been really good.
I know that perfectly segues us.
I know. I was about to say, just chef's kiss there. Fnatic have made bigger changes. So they brought in a new coach.
Team who cares about winning.
Yeah, they do. It seems that way. Maybe not.
They've got a history.
So they also have swapped things out. I think I'll start with the one I'm more lukewarm about. I made a little short about this. We can link it here if you want to tune into it. But essentially, ADVN is in for Rux. I don't think Rux was the problem at all. Again, though, that might just be we're not meshing, we're not getting what we want from you, so we're bringing someone in. ADVN, though, is a known quantity. He's been on a lot of rosters that have been very middling. He did decently on XL, Giants. He's not a bad player, but do I think he is going to revamp the bot lane? No, but he might have better synergy with Rekkles, which is really what matters. The big change, and this is really important, Oscar Rinnin is in for Wunder in the top lane. Again, I don't think Wunder is to blame. I think the whole roster just had passive issues, and Wunder, you don't get Wunder wanting a top lane carry. But the Fnatic have looked at this and said, we need to carry through topside. So they brought in Oscar Rinnin. This guy is a hot commodity. He's been doing really well on Fnatic Team Queso. He's been playing carry champs like Jace, Jax, Gnar, top lane, big performances. So clearly Fnatic have said, okay, we're going to focus on top side of the map. Humanoid is phenomenal. We think Razork still has it in him. We want to bring in a bit of a more proactive, aggressive top laner, and we're going to put our eggs in that type of basket. And I think, to be fair, I think it's a good move.
Sounds reasonable.
Rekkles has never a hard carry bot lane. He's always been much more around, I'm going to do phenomenally in lane, not lose the lane, not dominate the lane, and then use my mechanics and everything in the later game team fights. So if they can achieve this through this kind of strategy, I definitely see them doing better. I would be shocked if they don't make it to the group stage. We'll have to see. I'm not ready, though, to say they'll go beyond 6th, 5th place at this stage. I need to see a little bit.
I mean, to me, the big story is getting rid of Wunder, right? I mean, this is a guy who is... I mean, I'm looking at his career here, so to kind of track some things for you, right? Which is,
phenomenal.
Kid was at Splice when they were actually, considered part of the LEC, kind of like the big dogs to a degree. Then he goes from there to G2. He's been at G2 for forever. Then he goes to Fnatic, and... I don't know, the kid is 24 years old, but I'm now concerned about this guy's career. I mean, someone's going to come in, swoop in and pick him up and pay him probably a ton of money, and probably deservingly so.
Yep.
I'm sure I could think of a couple teams in the LCS who would absolutely love to bring on a player of Wunder's caliber, but I don't know, do you think, based on what you were seeing, where do you think he's at in his career? And this is quite troubling to a degree.
No.
I mean,
I don't know that he is.
If you're on a Fnatic's team that comes in 9th place and then you're the one who gets dropped, that's not a great look.
Yeah, but I also think that I don't know that they should have had him. The thing is that Wunder has always just been a solid top laner. He doesn't lose lane. He doesn't win lane. He plays tanks impeccably. He's great with his team fighting around tanks, if that is the meta. And so why would you pick him up and expect him to be anything that he has not been throughout a very prolific, long career, a very successful career doing that? I don't want to say he's one-trick pony, but what you're getting from him. Whereas when we're looking at someone like Fudge, also more aggressive and so on along those lines. So I think there's going to be a team that wants real stability in their top lane. They want someone that they know they can throw a tank on, and he is just going to deliver and have no problems. He can be an island, he can TP well, he can T5 well, and he'll bring that stability to them. I don't know why Fnatic thought this would work with a passive bot lane, a passive top lane, and a fairly supportive passive mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring that up, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the team structure has to match the players, right? And you can't expect to put players in positions where they won't succeed and then have them succeed, right? That just isn't exactly how it works. So I'm looking over here to my beloved board about who might make sense to pick up someone like a Wunder. A Team Vitality could pick them up, right? I mean, like I'm not sure that Photon might be a decent.
Photon is like the best top laner in the
I know, but
LEC.
but is he playing within the right team structure for them? Right? When you have a
I think so. I think like absolutely Bo and Photon are the ones that are carrying that team. They were the ones carrying and kicking and screaming. I think Perks and Neon in the bot, like the biggest reason they lost was because Neon and Kaiser in the bot lane just couldn't win a matchup either side of things. So so long as, and this is again great segue, Vitality have picked up Upset as their new AD carry. This really eliminates any excuses because we saw Bo and Photon just pulling off some crazy plays in the hopes that they could maybe win a match. And they just couldn't. And they would draft priority for their bot lane, Neon and Kaiser, and they would lose. They would counterpick and they would lose. It didn't matter what they did. They were just losing so hard in the bot lane. It doesn't matter how talented Bo and Photon are. Now with Upset can be a carry threat, but he can also be such a solid bot laner that depending on how the meta goes, he can be the one carrying or he can be the rock in the bot lane, absorbing a lot of pressure and letting Bo and Photon thrive. I think, to be honest, I think there are other teams that would benefit a lot more from someone like Wunder.
I have my first pick. I just wanted I wanted to give you the seamless transition.
Sure.
But my number one pick is Team Heretics. I think if you could get rid of Eevee,
yes,
to me,
yeah.
To me, that is the number one team that I think could really use from a phenomenal sitting right next to Jankos.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that they could. I mean, they made playoffs. Of course, they lost to Vitality. But that to me is a team that actually has some really good pieces. And if you put them with a strong top lane, that team, could all of a sudden be challenging the team BDSs of the world.
I think you nailed that. I think that's such a great, honestly, because Jankos and Wunder played together. They have the chemistry. They know how they play. Ruby has been very solid in the mid lane. And look, Jack Spectre and Mercer in the bot lane are not the best. But Eevee has, in my opinion, been a disaster.
But they could
swapping him out, they could be a kind of middle of the pack contender.
They could be Vitality from the Winter.
Sure, exactly. And that middle of the pack contender definitely going to take them up above that where they are now. So that's just perfect insight from you. Just perfect insight. What teams do you have? Those are the teams that have changed.
Blind Squirrel.
Yeah. Actually, no, sorry. Just one thing to wrap up Vitality. I will say this. I think bringing in Upset eliminates all excuses now. At this point in time, totally. We know Perks is not the best in mid lane, but as a team fighter, he's still decent. The real question is Kaiser. Was Kaiser a disaster because of Neon, or was it because Kaiser is just struggling? Did Neon deserve all that blame? I think he did, but there's kind of bigger questions. This is a super team. We've seen how super teams have performed in the past.
Doesn't always work.
Everyone wants to win. They're all competitive.
As Team Liquid.
They have that winner's mentality.
Yep.
I think they are closest title contender. I think that they are the only team that can really challenge G2.
Yep.
But there's a massive question mark around, will it actually work? Yep. Or is this going to be another Vitality super team that just crumbles and falls apart? As an org, is just not.
Yep. I'm happy to give him as much blame as you want. You will let me give him.
Yeah, I'm happy to give him some blame.
I'm a Perks hater.
You are a Perks hater. Upset, there's questions about his attitude. There's questions about him quitting on teams. But at the same time, if his team is winning and he has that drive and the team is doing it, is that enough to make it happen? Proof is in the pudding. We'll see. We will see. You had a couple of other teams. These are teams I think that didn't make any changes. Which one?
Yep.
Which one should we start?
The two teams that are kind of, I think, in the same boat, which was better than expected, right? This is Mad Lions and SK. Both of these teams we had middle of the pack, not at the very top. And so they've been able to slot in, right, where some other teams faltered. Now, we said it at the beginning, G2 is the standard that everyone is trying to reach, even if they don't win every single game in the best of ones or whatever it might be. Everyone knows that come Championship Sunday, they're going to be there, right? They're going to be there in that final. So the question is, who can fill in and who's going to maintain that? So to me, it's Mad Lions, SK, and Team BDS, right? Team BDS, this is a team that you and Scoot had picked in dead last when we did our launch podcast at the beginning of the year. Of course, I didn't because, I know.
I think you had them in 9th. Let's...
Not dead last. No, I had them in 7. I'm pretty sure I had them in 7.
Did you? Okay.
I had Astralis in dead last, which I think will happen. I also had XL in 4th. I think, again, Adam was playing fantastically. You're seeing Nuke and then Crowny. This is a team that loves to get kills. The question is, can that aggression be continued, but can they shore up the mid and late game? Right? This is a team that gets the early leads, and they just, from last year to this year, they've gotten a little better. They just need to keep improving on their mid to late game. And be a bit more objective focused, right? I think you sometimes get too caught up in the kills, which are worth something, but they're not worth anything if you don't then get the objectives that they allow you to get, which allows for you to build the momentum and really capitalize on the game. And so, Mad Lions SK, the question is, are they for real? And then Team BDS, I think that they are for real. There's no question that they're killing the best players in the world. Now is it no longer just, checkers? How can you make sure that you're playing a chess game?
No, I agree with that. I'm going to jump in with BDS. I think BDS underperformed.
Ooh, I love that.
Fully expected them to be in the top 4. Their first round match was against G2. There's no surprise in that. That's a tough loss. G2 is the number 1 team. It was actually quite a close match.
Well, they almost won. I mean, I remember wagering a good amount on that match, but they almost won that third map as well.
Exactly.
They are. I love what you just said. They both underperformed, but also you can't then go lose to Astralis. I'm sorry,
and that's the other thing. But to be fair, the loss to Astralis was a massive throw by them. And sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to learn from that. And they are a young team. They're a team that was performing way better than anyone expected. And then I think as we came into it, it was such a given. I think they lost focus. I think they went into it, thought, hey, this is going to be easy. And actually, props to Astralis. I think Astralis is more competitive than they've ever been. So, wherever they finish, I think they're going to drop into that 9th, 10th place this split. But nonetheless, I still think they are a better 9th, 10th place than they have historically. And I think that's what happened there. So I fully expect BDS to be gunning for that top 4 as they should be. I think the thing is they're going to run into a Mad Lions and an SK, and I completely agree with you. We now need to see, was the SK performance a fluke? Is SK's performance a fluke because Vitality just couldn't deliver, or are they able to replicate that no matter what? Are they now a top 4 team that is gunning for it? And this is, we talked about this, I think, during the season. The rosters are just great. When G2 definitely at the top. You have Mad Lions coming at 2nd place, but Vitality looked better than ever. Koi had a disappointing finish for fans of Koi, but at the end of the day, still a 3rd place team. So it's is that a success? Is that a failure? It's kind of things are up in the air. But, if we're talking about who can really win, I can see SK winning. I can see BDS winning. I can see G2 winning. I can see Vitality winning. I can see Koi winning. I think I didn't say Mad.
I don't think
so.
You
It's
can see
like
Koi winning. This is something that I think we have to talk about, right? And I know
six,
you mentioned
but
this.
6 teams.
Yeah, no, totally.
And maybe you can't see Koi winning, but they have one. So they
Sure.
as in
Last year.
if they could win.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It is funny because you were like,
Yeah.
How do you define success for Koi? And before we even started recording, you mentioned it. You were like, I think if SK would have played Koi, SK would have won. And so you thought Koi would have been like in fourth place, even though they got third place.
Yeah.
And I think that's right.
Yeah.
I do still think that core of Malrang, Larssen was playing so strong. And then like Comp and Tremby, Shigenda's got to be a little bit more impressive.
Yes, I agree. I don't think Larssen had the best performance that split, to be honest. But this is the weird thing. They 2-0'd SK in the group stage. They dominated. This is the funny thing. In the group stage, they 2-0'd SK, they 2-0'd Vitality. But I think that when you win, people expect you to win again. And that's I think where we're coming from.
Well, also, when you read up that fucking list of players, Tremby, Comp, Larssen, Malrang, Shigenda, you're like, that's a fucking good team.
It's a really good team.
There's
a lot of and when you're looking at Comp and Tremby, they've been the best bot lane at certain points. Larssen has been considered the best mid laner at points in his career, or at least top 2, top 3. Malrang is a psycho, and I don't know what he's doing, but it somehow worked enough for them to win. Shigenda is a question mark, but I don't know if blame can be put on him. I actually don't know if Malrang is being figured out or not. We have to see, but if they finish again, they don't make finals, I think it's a failure. I think when you win, I think that's the level.
I think your point is really, your macro point is really strong and well noted, which is, for the first time, and I feel like in a long time, the LEC is just real. There's not, again, I think when there's only 10 teams, you kind of tend to think there's 4 good teams and then the rest, but the LEC is competitive, and
it is.
This is going to be really fun.
It is big time. I think so massively, and I'm very curious. Mad Lions SK, can they maintain that level of performance? Can BDS tighten things up and make themselves a real contender? Can Vitality compete with G2? And can Koi recapture the spark? And I think that's the summary of it. Is that hey, we have a great series, and again, great thing is we have a round robin. Top 8 goes through, and we're right in the action straight away. But that takes us to the games that are happening this weekend. So I have day 1. Day 1 I have 2. Day 2 I have 2. Day 3 I have 1. So I think I'll kick it off. I have BDS. I'm going to see if maybe we line up on something. I have BDS SK or Mad Lions Vitality. Which one do you have?
So,
there's no way. 2 big brains. We're definitely connected here.
Anytime I get BDS as an underdog this split,
there we go. Exactly.
You can almost guarantee I'm taking it. The only and that goes up against G2. I honestly cannot. BDS to me is the team that will falter when they play Astralis. That's a game where I doubt that when it's a lesser opponent, that's when I'm more worried about BDS because they lose focus.
Yep.
But when you have BDS as an underdog, I'm taking it. I don't give a shit who it's against. So BDS, SK, undoubtedly, I have 2.09. You can take that one.
And I think I 100% with you. I'm with you on that one. The thing is, one game separated them in the regular season, and that's just one match off. But BDS beat SK. Yeah. Obviously, in the group stage, SK came out on top, but they were on opposing sides of the bracket, which makes it trickier to really understand the head-to-head here. But yes, in my opinion, I think these are the 2 teams that are the teams that are competing. You have G2, Koi, Vitality at this spot, and then I think you have Mad Lions, SK, and BDS competing for that next 3 spots. And I just think 2.09 odds on BDS. It's great. It's great.
Thank you.
Mad Lions versus Vitality. Mad Lions are 1.78. Vitality is a 1.96. I think Mad Lions kind of got bodied a little bit when they beat G2. They made it through a weaker Koi. And I think SK, I think the experience that Mad Lions has benefited them in that series against SK. I think they're being overvalued now. I don't think they're reaching finals again. I'm not even convinced they're going to make top 4 again. I think Vitality is going to come out really hot. Upset has taken a split off. He is eager to show that he is a winner. I think Bo, Photon, Perks want to win really hard. This is the sort of match that I think they're going to come out and want to do it. And a 1.96 underdog odds, I love it.
And you had that entire soliloquy of beautiful reasoning, and you never even once mentioned the honeymoon phase, right?
Yeah.
The strongest
phase.
Buff in
Yes.
all of
Esports.
And
Yeah.
so I absolutely love it. I'm 100% riding with you on this.
Great.
And again, it's a Mad Lions team that overperformed. Like,
Yeah.
I know that they did really well, but I just don't know if you're going to see that same performance out of them, especially out of the gate. Mad Lions is an org, historical for starting slow and then performing better later.
Agreed. And that kind of actually brings me to my day 2 on BDS versus Mad Lions. Did you have this one?
I just told you, if you give me BDS
Yes,
as an
underdogs,
underdog,
Yep.
anytime, like, God bless, I will be
Yeah.
taking it.
And guess who BDS beat in the previous regular seasons? Mad Lions.
course.
Handed
And
them
guess-
one of their only 2 losses.
And guess who loves to start 0-2 and then finish the split 7-2?
Mad Lions.
Lions.
So there we go. So we're in agreement again. I just think this is like 1.42 on Mad Lions doesn't make sense so bad, but a 2.9 on BDS. I don't know what crack the bookie is smoking, but I like it. So I'll take that one.
But give me some. It sounds fantastic.
Give me, yeah. Just you keep smoking it, keep giving me those odds. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
The rest of the matches today didn't really excite me too much. I'm not believing in XL or Fnatic until I actually see them playing.
But
Yeah.
could I entice you in a Fnatic honeymoon buff over SK? 2.39.
I would need to see the draft.
Okay.
That blind betting it, no. Draft betting it, perhaps. Because I counter with, could I interest you with a Heretics upset over Koi at a 2.9?
Heretics is not a team that I have the faith in,
Yeah.
especially this at the beginning of
Yeah.
a split. I like a Koi team who's going up against Astralis first to get the cobwebs off.
Sure.
And then I think is going to be coming into this game like a fine-tuned machine.
Okay. You think they're coming in hot this split?
I think they're coming in hot for the first weekend.
All right. Okay. All right. So that is too risky for us. Do you have any final day bet? I have the Koi versus Mad match as highlighted. Koi is a 2.09. Mad Lions are 1.69. I actually don't. I think I want to see the draft on this one. That's where I'm not convinced. I just think the odds are. I mean, they're very Koi skewed. So the right draft for Koi, you're getting great odds. I think the right draft also for Mad Lions, you're getting pretty decent favorite odds. And that was the best bet that I could see from day 3.
My perspective here is Mad Lions isn't going 0-3. And so...
And you have them losing the first 2, so...
If we have Vitality beating them in
Yeah.
map 1, if we have BDS beating them in map 2, and to be fair, like that it's a little bit of a long shot, so maybe that's the one that they do win. I mean, Koi's a great team, and getting Koi at underdog odds, like, I guess on the flip side, if you bet Vitality, BDS, and Koi, and you go 2-1, you're gonna be plus money. And maybe that's the bet. You kind of go, you just ride against Mad Lions, which is kind of crazy. Like, they are a good team. I don't know why we want to go get fading Mad Lions right now, but the odds are good, and they're not that great. Like Mad Lions, they're not that great.
Yeah, that's my point.
Justify these odds, and so I could definitely go a
small
amount on each team going up against Mad Lions this week.
Yeah, to me, I want to see what the draft is. If Koi get a really good draft, Mad Lions get a bad draft. I think that's there's good value there.
Yeah.
So that's what I would take. But that basically wraps it up for me week 1.
So let me ask you
week 1.
Let me ask you one question. and this can be a half unit.
Sure.
But G2 is playing Heretics, Astralis, and XL.
Yes.
By all accounts, pretty much the
Yes.
easiest lineup they'll have for the entire round robin.
Yes.
However, we know that G2 loves to come in and not be as sharp as they want to be, right? Try out some things and figure it out.
Yep.
Which game will G2 drop? Because the odds against the odds for the underdog are phenomenal, right?
That is a good
4.95, 4.66, and 4.61. Like, I mean, if you could bet on all three of them, if one of them hits, you're plus money, right? You're
Yeah,
plus a unit.
I think if you are going for that, I think you bet all three.
Okay.
I think that is the
I'm
way.
kind of inclined to. They're all like 4-6.
They're all 4-6. It's big odds there. 4-9 on the XL one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at XL. I don't know why. I think XL.
I know why. It's the fucking.
Because they're technically the best team. They're
honeymoon
technically the best team of the worst ones. But I don't know. That's a tough one for me because Astralis had a decent performance, but had they lost to BDS, I don't think we'd be considering them. Heretics, I just don't believe in Eevee. I find it so hard to believe in Eevee, and even Jack Spectra in the bot lane. So that's so.
I mean,
so
Heretics, call me. I can be your GM.
It leaves XL. As a default, I think that's where you put the little sprinkle. But to be honest, I would put you've got a good point there. Half a unit on each one. That's maybe
if you hit one of them, you're cash.
Yeah, and
especially maybe if you hit one of the earlier ones, you can withdraw your other ones because you know that they're not going to lose more than one that weekend.
Exactly. I think
so. Maybe that's what you do. You just bet each day.
Yeah.
If one of them hits, then you just don't bet the next day.
You don't. That's it. You're done. Yeah. Maybe that is it. That's not a bad strategy. I think you could sprinkle a little like and subscribe onto this episode. Also,
now those are long.
That's a good strategy. That's a good strategy.
That's a good strategy.
It's a good strategy. I don't know if you're going to make money. You'll be entertained, and really, we are enriching your life through entertainment and buffoonery. I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, I'm just excited to get it back in. I want to watch the matches happen and see how things go. So,
I agree.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you are as excited to see how the teams and things shake out. And I'm really excited because right after this is MSI, our first international tournament. So it's kind of like this marks the beginning of that.
It's kind of funny, right? Like we're having the LCS starting to wrap up, and we've got a big weekend over there. Yeah. And on the flip side, it's like we're restarting the LEC, and so it's just kind of fun having these two dichotomies and like kind of being able to dive back into one league while we're trying to kind of suss out
different tempos.
Yeah, totally.
It's like nice.
It's fun. It keeps it
Love
fresh.
It does. So keep it fresh, subscribe, join our Discord. It's a great little place to be. You can also check out our LCS, the Gold Advantage episode, which released a couple of days ago. I will link it here. And otherwise, we will see you next week. So stay beautiful, everyone. Bye.
Toodaloo.